clip if you guys haven't saw it, because I know this news is recent. I also want to tell you a story that I kind of told Mike earlier today. If you guys don't know, I actually do a second job, outside of my regular job where I'm driving and whatnot. And I had no clue that, this information that came out, because I'm trying to make extra money for, a few things that are, going on personal within my life, my family and whatnot. And, the guy that I was driving was like, they came out and said UFOs are real, or they found material. I'm like, no way. Get out of here.
I would have sent you these articles if I didn't think you had already seen them 100 times, because I'd seen them everywhere. And I was like, oh man, I know Rodney's going to message me about this soon. But I assumed you, otherwise I would have blown your message with them 100 times over if I didn't know you hadn't seen it yet.
Well, again, we already knew about the metamaterial because we had, been looking at stuff like that. We had already knew about Luis Elizondo and what's the guy's name from Blink 182?
Tom DeLonge.
We already knew about Tom DeLonge, but and we already knew that the government had came out and said that the footage was real. But what I didn't know is that they had just recently came out and said that they actually have material. I didn't know that they were actually admitting that they have material. We know they have material. I know they have material. Mike knows they have material, but the rest of the world, the normal world, did not know that. It is just it's very typical of the average viewers, or the people who still watch, what do they call it? Not primetime news. What do they call it? Mainstream news. That they don't watch anything but mainstream news. They don't watch any alternative news. So nothing is real to them until they actually hear it on Fox News or CNN. So, for those people, they had no clue that this stuff was going on. They had no clue that there was metamaterial. They had no clue that there was off-world vehicles. They had no clue that there was another element that Bob Lazar told us about 20 freaking years ago.
151.
That, element, I can't remember the name of it.
I think it's 151 or 115.
Element 115, I believe.
115, yes. Yeah. 51 area 51, Bob Lazar.
Right.
Goes together.
They had no clue. And all of this is redundant to you guys. I know. I'm sorry. I apologize for going over this stuff that you know. But again, this is actually for the layman's, the people who don't know about this stuff. We told you so. We knew about it, and we want our bones for it. But with that being said, I'm going to actually play this footage. This is actually coming from The Rising. If you don't watch that, really good news channel. I want you to check this out and just give you some content on everything that we basically been telling you, but we want it to actually come from the mainstream, since that's the only thing you listen to. Check it out. We'll be back in a second.
Some breaking and potentially explosive news today, which is that the U.F.Os commission, basically within the Pentagon, will be giving some findings and reportings to the Senate Intelligence Committee. This unit is inside the Office of Naval Intelligence. Now, Senator Marco Rubio saying that it's important for the public in order to find out more. But the real bombshell here is actually an interview in the New York Times by a man named Eric Davis. He's an astrophysicist who worked on the subcontractor and a consultant for that program since 2007. Now, Mr. Davis had this to say. He now works for Aerospace Corporation. He said he gave a classified briefing to the Defense Department agency as recently as March about retrievals from, quote, off-world vehicles not made on this Earth. So,
what?
There you go.
That is crazy.
He said he gave classified briefings on retrieval of these unexplained objects to staff members of the Senate Armed Services Committee on October 21st, 2019, and to staff members of the Senate Intelligence Committee 2 days later. So we are going to need to see the transcript of those documents, and I'm going to call for Marco Rubio in order to release all of that.
We need full transparency here.
Yeah,
the people need to know.
Absolute full transparency. But this is a bombshell accusation. And as far as I can understand, this is the first revelation about the most recent testimony given to the Senate Intelligence Committee regarding this matter ever since the story was broken open in the Times back in 2017.
Right. Well, and you recall this all came from, you had a number of military pilots pilots who were seeing these unexplained objects
and all that.
And they're, we've all seen the videos. Yeah, the way that they move was so inexplicable. They actually had to set up a system so that pilots could report these incidents. They do say in the New York Times that some of the fragments of material that were called into question as potentially off-world, as that one defense contractor put it, had been tested and found to be man-made. So there are certainly potentially earthly explanations
military
for what is going on. Yeah, I mean, that's the most likely thing if it's of man-made origin, but pretty wild development.
Huge development. I actually encourage everybody to go read Annie Jacobson's book. She was on Joe Rogan's podcast as well. She talked about this. She has a pretty wild theory about, well, not theory, she claims it's confirmed, I don't know, about the UFO sightings in the 1940s and about how it was really like a Russian military program.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Surgeries and all this other stuff. So again, I don't know. Like, who knows what the truth is here and what exactly is going on, but that nobody was giving this nearly enough attention. Off-world vehicles not made on this earth. And he testified that, I don't know if he was under oath or not, but it was a classified briefing to the Senate Armed Services Committee, to the Senate Intelligence Committee. And the one good thing about our government is that they write everything down. And I want to know exactly what he said.
Yeah.
Exactly what he said.
Well, and Senator Reid, who was former Senator Harry Reid, of course, has been one of the sort of primary movers and shakers on bringing some of this stuff to light. And he very much is of the belief that there have been off-world vehicles here.
He actually gave this quote again to the Times here. After looking into this, I came to the conclusion that there were reports, some substantive, some not so substantive. There were actual materials that the government and private sector had in their possession. This is in reference to the crashes of objects of unknown origin, which may have occurred, and materials which have been studied, some of which could be off-world. So there we go, folks.
We will definitely keep you updated on this one, and we'll have more Rising for you after this.
Okay, so Mike, I'm sorry, man. I'm a little butthurt because I'm a little butthurt, man. I'm a little hurt because I'm reading the comments here as we're actually playing this footage, and even though we have documentation showing that someone had briefed the U.S. government on off-world vehicles, you still get comments like, meaning it hasn't been confirmed yet. It's no big deal.
Skeptics, man.
Shut up.
So I will.
You're killing me.
I will say one thing. I'm a little weary of what they're actually going to give us as far as information goes. Now, as long as they can tell me that they have something that's not human-made, that's not from this earth, I'm completely cool with that for a start. But there's two reasons why I don't think we're going to get too much other than we got something weird. And that's because, one, I believe this could be a move to try to grab more funding for the U.F.O program and stuff like that, and for their team. Because how else are you going to get more funding unless the public supports what you're doing and what you're trying to do? So then also, Unidentified Season 2 just came out on History Channel, which is the show that was all about the Nimitz and everything like that, which is what a lot of the disclosure stuff is talking about. And I just find it weird that it all kind of came together at once. And I feel like it could be a grab to try to get some funding and things like that. But if they release anything, I'm totally happy with it because it's 100% proof. And they've already hinted at that thing, the craft parts that they have. That was already hinted at years ago. So for somebody to come out now and say they're basically almost ready to fully disclose it to us, as in like put it in a court of law and say, hey, this is what really happened. That'll be a big win for everybody in the UFO community. Absolutely.
And three things I want to touch on, and hopefully I can remember all of this because I'm getting older. One, they're drip feeding us. They're giving us disclosure in phases. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is actually a phase of disclosure. Like Mike said, they're not going to give us all of the information because that would be too much, and we can't handle it, for one. And
2020 has already been too wild. We can't get full alien disclosure. I don't even know what would happen.
Yeah, they can't drop that on us, So no, we're not going to get it. I don't believe
America would be out of toilet paper for the next 3 years.
Right? I mean, if you guys were thinking it was hard to get toilet paper then, oh my God, it would be horrible. But the other thing too is that, and I got to give credit where credit is due. My good friend of mine in UFO community, Tim Dust, or actually UFO Man, as some of you guys know him, he actually just recently did a live video on this topic here, speaking in reference to a theory that he had. And I thought it was interesting. It was something that I thought of before, but really never expressed live. And I just want to give you shouts out again, Tim, for mentioning it here, because I thought it was cool. When they're saying off-world, you got to remember that we're dealing with the government, and they use words very carefully. Now, keep in mind, I actually work for the government. I'm not going to tell you which part I work for. You freaks, come on, I'm not going to tell you my job. But again, I work for a part of the government, and I actually deal with writing up memos and drafts or whatever, and we go back and forth, people reading these drafts that we actually write. You know, it's irritating. It's like being in high school and actually seeing that red highlight marker on your page, you know, because there were corrections that need to be. That's what the government is like when you're actually writing these memos, because there has to be specific words, and there has to be words that need to be taken out here. And anybody that works in the government in this particular section knows what I'm talking about here. So they're very methodical about the words they put in. And I say this because they said off-world vehicles. Now, what does that mean? It could mean that there are off-world vehicles and they are coming from extraterrestrial origin, or it could mean off-world vehicles, meaning that it was made in the vacuum of space by humans. Okay, so again, shout out to my boy Tim Dust for bringing that up. That is definitely something that they could be talking about, and when they actually bring this information to our attention, you know, we're all expecting alien ETVs, and they're like, oh, no, we made it. We just made it in space. No big deal.
That's gonna break my heart. You know? If all this comes down to that, oh man, that's gonna hurt.
Wouldn't that be horrible?
It's cool and all, but that's gonna hurt. That's gonna hurt.
You know, it's like you're dating a girl, and then you get to second base, and she's like, I'm gonna give you some. Never.
ever.
Never.
You're right there. You're almost there.
Like, what do you mean? You said you were just gonna give me some. Yes, but never. What? Oh, okay, whatever.
Yeah, it's a strange one. It seems like they, as much as is already out there that people like us know is actually, you know, a real thing and true. It seems like now would be the decent time to kind of start letting people know, hey, okay, you're not crazy. There is a chance there's aliens out here, and we may or may not have some pretty crazy things that we've retrieved that we believe are from UFOs. Mm-hmm. So I think it would be a good time now to kind of let people know what's going on. At least a gist of it. Give us a taste, something.